What's up everyone, Lion Roar here, and we just got some brand new champions in Bloodline Heroes of Lithas, and take a look at this absolutely sick art. The design has been top-notch lately. So, do the champions themselves live up to the quality of the art? Let's talk about it. But first, download Bloodline Heroes of Lithas, a mobile RPG action fighting game where you can marry your champions to create new and unique hybrids. Use the link in the description to start with some free stuff, including gold and diamonds. See you hopefully soon. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at the male. I want to look at the clan trait first, which of course is going to be on both the male and the female, and this is just an epic champion I'm looking at, so of course the numbers are going to be higher, but it says each attack reduces the target's attack speed by some percent. Of course, if the skill is higher, it's going to be higher than this, which is 6.7%, for 5 seconds, stacking up to 3 layers. Now, in other words, what this is saying is that you're increasing your own team's attack speed by a little bit if you're slowing the opponent down. It's not truly like that, but that's what's interesting about a trait like this. If you're reducing your opponent's attack speed, of course, that means you're going to be a little faster. So, however, it is only for the target. So it's not like you're reducing the whole team's attack speed on the other side and increasing your whole team's attack speed. It's marginal. I think that for a lot of people, this trait looks more exciting than it actually is. I think it's just okay. I certainly don't think it's worth chasing, and that's why I wanted to look at this, because sometimes even if the champions aren't great, it might be worth chasing the companion just to get the trait to be able to put on your other team, because if you can make the rest of your roster better with a clan trait that you transfer, of course that's going to be better. But I don't think this one's worth chasing. I do think that it could be worth collecting. Some people just like to collect. So now let's go look at the male and the female with their max stats in the renowned champion section here to really answer the question, is it worth it to put all the resources into leveling these guys up? So for the male in particular, Laughing Gas is the first special. Throws a smoke grenade into the most crowded area, which I think is super fascinating. Dealing damage equal to 460% of the champion's strength to enemies covered in smoke. Smoke screen lasts 6 seconds and reduces the hit rate by 30%. When an enemy in the smoke screen triggers dodge, which is kind of the new thing in the meta right now, the champion gets excited and gains 40 energy. When hiding in the smoke, they gain an additional 40% attack speed without suffering from the hit rate reduction. So that's really interesting, that it's kind of like a dodge hate hero. So like if you go against an opponent that has a bunch of dodge going on, that's kind of cool. Like this counteracts that a bit, and since everybody's putting dodge on their champions now, you know, that's something that could be pretty useful. Let's take a look at the ultimate here. Surprise! Throws bombs to 3 random targets, dealing damage equal to 275% of the champion's strength. The bomb explodes after a short lag, dealing AoE damage equal to 275% of the champion's strength, which inflicts an additional fear effect on the target for 2 seconds. For each enemy hit, the caster gains 6% more attack for 6 seconds. That's really interesting. Fear is not something we've seen a whole lot of in this game so far, but has proven to be good in the past. So if it's put onto a good champion, well, I think it could be very useful, especially if it's an AoE fear, right? If multiple champions on the other side are being affected by that, that's pretty powerful, I think. All right, let's take a look at the last one here, Master of Mischief. The caster has a 20% chance of landing a hit on an ally. What a downside. Dealing 30% less damage on them, which grants 50 wrath. So I hate champions that deal damage to their own heroes, but this one also grants that 50 wrath, right? And it's not as powerful of damage as if you're hitting the opponent. So, I mean, there's that to consider. The attack does not kill the target. When an allied or enemy champion dies, the caster's normal attack gains significant attack speed boost for the next 3 seconds, dealing total damage equal to 500% of the champion's strength and an additional damage equal to 500% of the target's constitution loss, capped at 400% of the caster's attack. That's a lot of wordage, but there is some downside to him being able to hit his own allies and deal damage to them, which makes me nervous. But at least they get a benefit out of it too. and there's the opportunity for a whole lot of damage to be dealt to the opponents here, and for that attack speed boost to happen. So it could be worth it. It's just kind of chaotic and unpredictable. And I think that's kind of the point of the Parade clan, is to be chaotic and unpredictable. I do have to say there's some potential with the male here. I think you can get really creative with him. I don't think you can just stick him on any team. I think you need to be very careful about what other champions you're putting with him, and making sure that you're taking advantage of what he's trying to do and accentuate the positives and reduce the negative, of course, which is the damage being dealt to your own team. I would think honorable traits on other champions would be really, really important here, because if he's already reducing the amount of damage he's dealing to the allies, well, honorable would reduce it further, so you're minimizing the drawback to this particular one. I think he has some potential. He's not looking like one that you just want to chase and level up and put in anywhere. You're going to have to put thought into it. And if you're a player who spends money on the game or is just trying to collect everything, it might be worth it. If you're free to play, I don't know. Like there's definitely some other champions that will come back around that are probably just more straightforward, better. But what makes him so cool is that you have to work for it. Like you have to think with this one, and you actually have to strategize. But I think he does have some potential. What about the female? Let's take a look at the female Parade. All right, first of all, just the art is sick. I'm loving this. This is like, it's spooky, it's weird, it's creepy. Her special might even be weird. Everything's weird about this, but her special might be even weirder than the males. Let's take a look. Senseless violence. Fires 2 shots of pellets in a cone toward the front, each shot dealing damage equal to 245% of the champion's strength. In grotesque status, heals allies within a range for 100% of the pellet damage. In frenetic status, deals damage to all units within the range, with allies taking 80% of the pellet damage, which is non-lethal for them, gaining a frenetic effect for 5 seconds. So she's either like healing your guys or she's like wrecking your guys. That feels dangerous to me. I don't know if I like that. And again, it's really unpredictable and kind of like chaotic. Like maybe if you could control your own champions as the game was going on, it would be a little better because you could maximize the positives and reduce the negatives. But since we can't control it, you're just up to RNG, at the whim of RNG, I should say. All right, Gleeful Rampage is the ultimate. Enters a frenzy status for 5 seconds and fires at a random allied or enemy champion 3 times every 1 second, with each shot dealing damage equal to 170% of the champion's strength. The damage dealt to allies is non-lethal, but doesn't matter because, like, if you hit your own champions a whole lot and their health goes down a lot, it doesn't take very much for the opponent to just finish them off, but just saying. All right. Rapid firing has no range limit. Dealing shooting damage to opponent targets will not restore their energy. During the frenzy, the caster takes 20% more damage. Okay. Each attack heals 20% of the damage dealt. The caster becomes immune to control effects in grotesque status and gains 15% more critical rate in frenetic status. The allied champion hit also gains a frenetic effect for 4 seconds. There's a whole lot of frenetic going on here. So what that tells me is there's a whole lot of damage being dealt to your own team here. This almost seems like suicidal to put this type of hero on your team, unless you really, really take care with how you're building it. Like maybe Galabar champions would be fine here, where like it's really, really hard for them to take damage. Maybe her being on a team with a female Divala, where like there's a lot of times she's not taking damage. I think you could build around it to like not take so much damage, but even more so than the male, you're going to have to be really, really careful with this one. All right, last one, Lethal Joke. Points the gun and pulls the trigger every 6 seconds, shooting either a grotesque bullet or a frenetic bullet towards the shooter. Each bullet's effect remains active until the next shot is fired. When more than 2 allied champions have died... Again, we're relying on like a drawback of your own team dying, which I usually hate in games like this. But let's read on. Okay, so when more than 2 allied champions have died, a frenetic bullet is guaranteed. Grotesque. Takes 30% less damage and has an 80% chance to get 50 energy additionally when the champion is attacked. Frenetic deals 30% more damage and has 80% chance to get 50 energy additionally when the champion attacks. Reduces the frenetic effect on allies by 20%. This is absolutely, completely chaotic, ridiculous, hard to understand specials. I think how this is going to play out is most people are going to get this champion. It looks intriguing. For anybody who works on it, they're probably going to pop her in and immediately see, like, this is dumb. This is dumb and not worth it, and they're going to give up on her. But I think that would be the wrong thing to do. I think for anybody who wants to have fun with Bloodline, and I'm talking fun, I'm not talking like good, like you're leveling up some champion that's going to make you overpowered and roll through everybody. I'm talking about having fun. If you're somebody who wants to have fun, you should level her up and play around with those synergies. Because like I said, there's pathways there for her to be really good. Like if you can reduce the amount of damage your own team is taking through using female Divala and Galabars and maybe some healing effect, you know, get an AoE healer in here where like your team is healing while the opponent is taking massive amounts of crazy damage and weird stuff happening to them. I think it's possible. And I think that because people who initially are disappointed with her are going to just assume she's bad and go into matches against her later on down the road, a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, and face her and be like, oh my gosh, what? They have a female parade on the other side? This is going to be no problem. But for the people who are really smart, the smartest players in this game, they're going to find a way to make her just wreck face. I'm telling you, there's a path to that, and it's going to take a little testing and commitment and patience with that. Even more so than the male, you can't just stick her in. This is a very specific hero, and it's going to be fun for some people to do that, but this is not a hero. This is not a hero you're chasing to like just be an overpowered type of champion that you can just stick in any format. So just take note of that. I think players who are committed to having fun with her are going to have a lot of fun with her, and that's how I would use her. Now, me personally, what am I doing? Let's just you know, kind of talk for a moment about like who's better and like what traits I would put on here. I think that when we're talking like straight quality, the male is probably, I'm leaning towards the male being a little better. Towards like niche specialized, just, I mean, it's April Fool's Day, and that's kind of what the female is. If you're committed to just trolling people and you want to have fun, then the female could be the one that you want to go for. Traits that I would put on, I mean, I guess brutal, like, but then, you know, of course you're putting your own champions at risk on your team. Brutal could go on. I mean, I could see wanting to put hulking on, which is going to increase the strength over time if you don't already have like a hulking. Remember, you can only have hulking on one hero on a team. So if you don't already have that on a team member, that could be one. I could see aggressive potentially, and I would consider putting honorable on these as well, just as a way to kind of like try and keep them alive. But I think there's a lot more flexibility. I don't want to like just give you a straightforward answer at what traits you're going to use on these particular champions, because it really depends on who you're going to pair them with when you build the team around it. The traits on your other champions are just as important as who the other champions are. And I can't tell you what those traits are going to be because it depends on the specials that you're trying to intermingle with them. So I think that this is a pretty fun clan that we're looking at. So I think it's worth playing around with. But I don't think we're going to see these popping up on any top teams anytime soon unless anybody figures out how to create a synergy that allows the team to troll other opposing teams. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoy videos like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification, and I will catch you in the next one.